Rider's Rev, and I'm going to show you how to flush the brakes on this Victory cross-country tour. Okay, first thing that we're going to do is locate the rear brake master cylinder and the rear brake reservoir. On this Victory machine, it is right here. So we're going to go ahead and remove that cover, and then we're going to suck the old fluid out. Okay, today I'm using my Capri Tools vacuum bleeder tool. I've made other videos talking about this particular tool and how much of a lifesaver it is for flushing brakes on pretty much any vehicle. I'm going to suck the old fluid out of the reservoir. I'm going to use this squeeze bottle to fill up the reservoir with fresh fluid. All the way to the top. We have located the rear brake caliper and the bleeder with an 8mm wrench. We're going to crack this open. But first we're going to install our bleeder nipple on the end of this caliper, and then we're going to suck the fluid out. Okay, we're going to crack the bleeder open, and we're going to suck fluid out until the fluid becomes clear. During this process, it is always important to make sure that you maintain the fluid level in this reservoir. You do not want it to drop below and suck air into the system. So if you're doing this yourself, you're going to need to stop periodically, shut the bleeder off with the wrench, come over to this side, and refill the reservoir. In this case, I've already completed the brake flush. From the caliper, I filled the reservoir to the max fill line, and I'm going to reinstall the reservoir cap. Inside the cap, we have a rubber boot and a plastic spacer that goes in between the cap and the boot. Make sure those are both in there. In this case, they were stuck to the lid. Snug that down, hand tight. Then we're going to use some... Okay, moving on to the front brake flush portion of this job on the Victory cross country. First thing we're going to do is cover the fuel tank with something to prevent any type of spillage. You could use a towel. I prefer this old yoga mat right here. The other issue that we're going to have with this one is that it's angled at quite an intense angle. So it's likely to spill fluid when we pull the covers off of it. Okay, after realizing the drastic angle of this front brake reservoir, I decided to go ahead and take it off the lift so we could have better access to turning the handlebars. So we're going to start by removing these bolts. Now these are a 2.5 millimeter, though this is an aftermarket Arlen-S reservoir cap. So I am not certain the OEM ones use the same bolts. It may. A lot of them use Phillips heads. I'm attempting to carefully remove this cap, and I can already see that some fluid is beginning to spill. I'm going to use a blue shop towel to try to absorb any spillage upon removal of the cap. Now, as you can see, the brake fluid looks very yellowed. It's probably at least 5 years old in this case. Just like before, we're going to suck the fluid from the reservoir. We're going to use our Wurth multi-purpose solvent to clean any brake fluid that has spilt along this bar down below. This is why this is absolutely crucial. Brake fluid will eat up paint if it's left sitting on paint for too long. Wurth multi-purpose solvent is completely safe on all painted parts. We're grabbing our .4 synthetic brake fluid, and we're going to fill the reservoir as much as we can without spilling it over. Now we are going to the front left caliper, which is the furthest caliper from the master cylinder. In this case, it looks like it is a 10 millimeter. So we're going to grab our 10 millimeter open-ended wrench or box wrench. Install our bleeder. We're going to continue to suck until the fluid becomes clear. In this circumstance, it is very important to make sure that the reservoir doesn't run dry, especially since at this angle, we can only put so much fluid in it until it gets beyond that point. So unless you have help, you're going to have to periodically check the reservoir, as I just did, and re-top it off. Continue the bleeding process. Refill the reservoir. And move on to the front right brake caliper. Something interesting about this model is it appears the front right brake uses the traditional 8mm, like the rear. The front left uses the 10. So I'm not sure why, but that's how it is on this vehicle. You can also periodically pump the brake, make sure that we're still maintaining pressure. In this case, we are. Continue the last of the bleeding process. Top off the fluid one last time. We're going to go ahead and clean this old gasket off as good as possible. Get any of that residual brake fluid off. Carefully install the gasket and the plastic spacer.